I'm Scott Fishman.
I'm John Dwoskin.
And this is the 7-Minute Salesman.
Welcome, everybody.
Good morning, John.
Fish, good morning. How are you?
John, I'm doing great, man. Doing great.
Why are you doing so great? It's great. I love it. What's
just happy to be podcasting, man. We've had so many breaks, and it's been starts and fits with us over the last couple months, trying to get towards episode 100.
Yeah, I know. Crazy.
The fact that we're up on a Saturday morning and we're able to do this it just puts a smile on my face.
Yeah. All right, good. Me too. Yeah, I love it too. It's fun. I always look forward to it. And which is great. So what do you want to talk about today, Fish?
Well, John, I think I got something good to talk about. We actually, folks, right before we started the podcast, John was telling us about how his computer was slow and he had an issue with it. And John, What happened? We went to the Apple store, and what did they do for you?
So my computer, my 365, my email crashed, and then I called Microsoft. They had me upgrade a couple of things, which was wrong, and so then my whole 365 didn't work, and so I had to take it to the Apple store. And I had through the years, my computer is about 4.5 years old. Through the years, I had all this stuff. I mean, I have a 2 terabyte computer, and I had about 40 gigs left. So many things weren't working, but I really didn't care so much because I was using my computer for business, and I use it my email and my calendar, and I don't need to use the other stuff. I can use it, some stuff on my iPad. But long story short, my computer, I just couldn't use anything on my computer. Took it to made an appointment with the Genius Bar, and got in there right away, and got there, and I think I was with the smartest person at the Apple store. His name was Arbor.
So you were the smartest genius.
I think so. I mean, as I was working with him, all of the other geniuses were coming up and asking him questions.
They're Geni.
They're right. Anyway, I had my phone out, my iPad Pro, and my computer. And I gave him a laundry list of everything that was wrong, including my battery was recalled, which I didn't even know, even though it was dying. He, in an hour and a half, Fish, I didn't know what he was doing. He was going from one computer to the next, from one computer to the next, to downloading, to fixing and updating and thising. I basically, long story short, in 90 minutes have a brand new computer, 927 gigs left, a new battery, and it's a absolutely brand new computer. It's unbelievable. Wow. Yeah.
Unreal. So
I can be.
And I think you said that he put a new battery in. Aside from doing that, it didn't cost you. How much did it cost you to do this?
Well, the battery I had to do, which was $199, but everything else cost me nothing. Absolutely nothing. It was. I made an appointment with the Genius Bar because I have Apple Care. Boom, done.
Got it. So I think there's something here that I'm glad that it's funny because we planned on talking features versus benefits today, and then right before we started the podcast, this came up.
Yeah.
And it's like, first and foremost, the biggest thing out of this conversation that, really this guy, there was blood in the water. If you really wanted to do something, I mean, let's face it, you and I are not computer geniuses. We could be sold first.
Well, not only that, I was going in, Fish, thinking that I was going to have to buy a brand new computer because I thought my computer was just done for period the end. Yeah, at 4.5 years old, I thought, I'm walking out of there and I'm going to have to spend $5,000 on a new computer. Between you buy a new computer, the new case, the new this, the Apple Care. Yeah. And I walked out basically at that point because my battery didn't come in for a couple of days. I walked out spending nothing.
Right. And so on top of that, so let's kind of dissect the very first part. Microsoft dropped the ball. So right there, the competition dropped the ball. There was blood in the water. They could have literally, he could have upsold the shit out of you if he really wanted to.
Who? But at Apple?
At Apple, yeah.
Yeah, because I called Microsoft and they said, you have to upgrade everything. Your 365. I upgraded it and it was too big of an upgrade. And so I couldn't delete it. So they said, well, now you can't delete it. You have to go to the Apple store. I said, but I just spent an hour with you on the phone or however long I spent. Now I'm kind of pissed. Like And so, yeah, Microsoft, I would say, dropped the ball.
Right. And so they dropped the ball. You went to their main competition essentially, which is Apple, and they could have just number one, they could have sold you almost anything at that point because number one, you were pissed. Number two, you were planning on spending $5,000 on a new MacBook.
Yeah.
Like I know you're gonna be like, just give me the best one because I never want to upgrade. So right then and there, they had you at Apple. But what they did,
Yeah.
they recognized that you had a problem and they solved it.
Yeah.
They recognized you had several problems and they solved all of them. Number one being the battery was the one thing they got to sell you. Everything else was the Apple Care and the cloud storage, which you already had.
Yeah. And I just want to say this. They didn't sell me the battery until they did a full test on my computer to make sure that it actually needed it.
Wow. There you go. That's great service. So
it was unbelievable.
You had a feature this whole time that you didn't know. Well, you knew about it, but you didn't realize that you weren't using it right, which I think is very indicative of the way that product works. I don't think anyone really understands how the iCloud works properly.
Right.
Because it's like you don't want to lose your stuff. It's on the cloud. It's also on my computer. But so why do I even have the cloud? So now you actually have the cloud set up properly. That's the feature. The benefit is that now you have an amazing computer and you don't have to worry about mucking it up with every single document, every single picture, every single file that you save.
Correct. And so right. And so my screen is clean. I have a ton of space on my computer. It's faster. When I shut down my computer, when I picked up my computer yesterday, because it took about 2 days for them to do the battery, and I shut down my computer and it shut down right away. I said, "Is my computer supposed to shut down that quickly?" And he said, "Yeah, it is," because it normally had been taking like 3 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. And so the amount of time overall, I mean, I don't have to recap everything you said, but I mean, the amount of time it is saving me is huge.
So would you say that when you first got this rolled out to you, the iCloud, however long ago you bought this product, you bought it 1, 2, 3 years ago, they told you about a feature, but they didn't really explain the benefit you were going to get from it or how to use it? Because had they properly explained the benefit you were going to get from using this, you would have actually been using it. You wouldn't have had half of the problem that you had just now.
Correct. Yeah. I bought it out of fear because I thought I needed it. I didn't understand how to use it and I was too busy to figure it out. And I didn't need to figure it out because I had a computer that could be a backstop to the space.
So that's definitely playing right into what we're talking about, features versus benefits.
Yeah.
A feature is that you have a navigation on your car now, a navigation screen. The benefit is that you're never going to get lost. So
Absolutely.
It's, if you think about how we're selling these things, it's like if I'm selling cars and I know we've talked about this in season 1, but yeah, this thing's got, tilt wheel, it's got heated seats, it's got all these things, but I'm just listing off a laundry list of things that the car has. Right. It has all these great features, but really, how does that get the buyer engaged? How do our prospects really start to feel what we're telling them?
Yeah.
And that's the important thing.
Yeah, I love it. So let's unpack that fish. Let's unpack because I think a lot of times people, they don't I don't know if they don't understand the difference between a feature and a benefit like you're articulating, or if it's just harder to share the benefit without people sounding, and we've talked about this a lot on the show, without people feeling like they're sounding salesy.
Right.
So it's easy to say to somebody, "Hey, you have this car has heated seats and it has a heated steering wheel," versus people feeling like and I don't agree with this, feeling quote unquote salesy, saying, "Hey, here's the benefit. On a cold day when you're in your house, this self-starter, you start it 10 minutes before you get in the car. You walk in, the ice is going to melt off of your windshield. Your seats are going to be heated. Your car is going to be warm, and your hands aren't going to." And your steering wheel is going to be warm, so your hands aren't going to be cold, and your body's going to warm up, da 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 da. But right. I think people feel that when they tell a story where the benefits can kind of chime in, they feel like they're being, like just salesy. And I think we just need to drop that perception.
Right. Well, the first thing is be genuine.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you're genuine, you're never going to sound salesy because you are actually speaking from the heart and you're being real. But also getting them to relate to it more than just like, hey, on a cold day, this is going to be there. It's like, hey, don't you hate when this happens? You know, get them thinking about a time that has happened to them because heated seats and heated steering wheels haven't been around all that long. So if you're over 30, there's a good chance that you've gotten in a car and had to grab onto that steering wheel that was like freezing cold and your teeth are chattering just trying to get the engine going so you're warm enough to get to the corner of that first stop sign where your car warms up, but
Yeah.
you're literally you can see your breath while you're driving, all this stuff. Now it's amazing. My car now, I press a button when I'm done brushing my teeth. I start the car and the steering wheel is already warm. The seats are already warm. I get in and it's comfort. It's like my own little oasis in the morning. It's not like me trying to hold my coffee cup and my hand shaking just trying to get it up there. It's there. It's warm. It's cozy. It gets my day started on the right foot.
Yeah.
It's amazing,
John.
John.
I love that. And I just want to give people, with all of this, I want to go back to one thing I was saying before, a tool, because I think it's a lot easier to sell benefits when you're telling a story of something that worked for a client or a prospect. Many of the clients that have bought X, Y, and Z have experienced boom, boom, dot, dot, dot. Many of the people who walk in have one perception of what this will be, but what they experience is A, B, and C. And if you can tell through story the benefits that other people are having, then I think it takes it off of you. And that's where I think a lot of the uncomfortable, the vibe comes from people. And I think if they transfer it to just being a better storyteller, it'll be a lot easier to sell the benefit of a lot of the things we talked about today.
Right. I mean, and think about it. If John, let's look at it. Let's say you just moved to Michigan from Florida. And I said, John, have you ever gotten in your car and it was freezing cold and your steering wheel was too cold to touch and your seats were like, you didn't even want to sit on them? You're going to be like, no, that's never happened to me. I've lived in Florida my whole life. Right. So you have to know your audience, but also maybe that's not a feature that we're going to get through by just showing the benefit of it because they haven't been there. But we can tell them, well, John, you better damn well believe that this winter you're going to be feeling it and you're going to need it. Take it from me. I've been here all my life, sadly, in Michigan and had, 40 winters or however many winters to deal with. You are going to love having this. My wife loves it. I love it. It's an amazing toy, an amazing feature. You're going to enjoy the benefit.
And I think I think for people who are selling and you're not being, I think one way to look at, this is what I'm trying to say. One thing to look at is how you're converting your sales. And so you're probably going to find if you go back and look at deals and people that you've converted and whatever metric you're looking at, it's probably those that felt connected and understood the benefits. Yeah. And so if you kind of do a review of your past clients, I think that'll be a really good exercise for the listeners because they'll be able to look at and say, hey, I do a lot of business with this client, this client, this client. And because it's easy for me to talk to them and tell them and they get, and it stimulates activity. And then if you look at when you can't close or convert somebody, I think sometimes people, when they get nervous, they fall into features instead of, like you said, being authentic and being yourself and just sharing the benefits. I think if the listeners can just begin thinking about you're sharing the benefits and creating a narrative for them to see themselves either with the product or in a certain situation, using the product or service, et cetera, that's kind of what we want to do.
Yeah. You're hitting the nail on the head, and that's something I've been in mortgages all my life, right? So when you think about, it's not a sexy sale, right? It's really not, but a feature is a lower interest rate.
Yeah,
that's super exciting, right? I'm going to lower your interest rate, but what the hell does that do for me? Most people don't really see it. the benefit is you can either pay your house off faster, pay less interest, just pay less monthly, pay off your credit card debt, pay, again, I said pay your house off early, but change the term on your loan. There's so many things that you can do. If you're not painting the picture with the benefit, then it's just a feature, which is a lower interest rate, which doesn't really matter. What does that mean to somebody? Yes, I have a lower interest rate. I mean, if you ask someone what the interest rate on their credit cards are, what the interest rate on their car is, what the interest rate on anything else is, they have no idea. I guarantee.
No idea.
If they do, they're a total dork. And I'm sorry. If you're out there, that stuff, get a life and get out and enjoy the sun sometime. You don't need to know every single thing about every single thing. But at the end of the day, we're giving people the benefits. We have to remember benefit. When you look back, like you said, at the people that you have sold that have jumped in your particular boat, it wasn't because of a feature. It's because of the way you made them feel. They got excited about the benefit you were providing to them, not a feature.
Yeah, and I just want to add something you were saying, because I think it is the key element of features and benefits. You said you don't have to know every single feature, right? As you need to be able to know if I'm talking to you, Fish, and I'm trying to tell you, and you're coming in and talking about whatever product, I need to be able to tune in and know the 2 or 3 top benefits that are going to affect you, that mean something to you, and then use the features as the backup. And then, oh, by the way, you get all of this as well. But if you can tune in to each person to know what benefits, the 2 or the 1 or the 2 or the 3 benefits that will mean something to them, and then all the features you can kind of layer in. But you don't need to know everything. When you buy a product and when you're selling something, you need to be able to just tune into what that person's pain is and sell the benefit.
Right. Especially in this day and age, you better believe if you're sitting down with someone and going over your product, unless it's someone that you're just knocking on their door and trying to sell them a cleaning product or something, if they're sitting down with you and going over a product, they've done some research. They know most of the features. Their eyes have glazed over when they've read a feature list or the spec sheet or tech sheet of what your product is. They know all that stuff. You need to make them feel all of that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And one way that I was actually going to do this earlier, I was going to do a little cliffhanger with you, but one way I like to sell the benefit is with a little bit of a cliffhanger as well. Is, hey, John, you know what? I noticed that your computer's running slow and you're running out of space. I might have a solution for you. Give me a half hour. Let me go research this really quick. I'm going to call you back and let you know if I can do this. If I can, I think you're going to be really happy.
Right.
Now, I left you hanging. I left you with candy. I pretty much in the back of my head know that the solution's going to work, but I just want to double check. Or maybe I just 100% know it's going to work and I just want to give you that cliffhanger, because when I call you back, you're going to be super excited. You're going to be all that more amped up because Scott said he could solve my problem. When he calls me back, he might have the solution for me that's not going to cost me a dime. Let's look into this, versus I thought I was going to have to shell out all this money. So just add that little bit of suspense there. Create scarcity, create exclusivity. Boom, you close. Bob's your uncle, we're done.
Yeah. And there's, and there's so many ways to look at it. And sometimes even in your scenario, like sometimes the receiver needs to you got to give them a minute too. And that's okay. I mean, and we're defining it right now as scarcity and things of that nature, but really it's kind of like give them a minute to think about it. It actually helps them make their decision too.
Right.
You kind of go apart and then you come together and then boom. Right. But benefits. I agree with you, Scott. It's critical.
Critical, folks. On that note, I think we've really hammered the features of this episode. We hope you gain the benefits that we're offering. And on that note, I think we should wrap this up, John. I really hope that you have an amazing day, an amazing week, and that we're able to do this again next week, I'm in. We're closing in on episode 100, folks.
I know.
For the 7-minute sales minute, and we've come a long way, baby.
We need to air. I know we keep on saying this, but and I feel like we need to air the episode that we never aired, which is the very first one, which was embarrassing.
Yeah, special treat for episode 101, everybody.
Right.
Good taste.
That's awesome. All right, Fish. Good episode. Good day.
All right, enjoy your day. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Now, no excuses. It's time to put everything you listen to into action. Stop bullshitting yourself. Stop lying to yourself. Stop listening and doing nothing with this information. Take this information, implement it into your day, kick some ass, grow your business, grow your sales, make more money, have more fun, have a better life, period, the end.
What he said.